Hi, this is Deacon Matthew Glover from Christ the King Catholic Church, coming to you on July the 4th, our reflections for July the 4th. It's Tuesday of the 13th week, the 13th week of Ordinary Time. And I mentioned to you yesterday I was going to be praying and reflecting about these images of light and dark, and that kind of being the theme for this week. And so, piggybacking off of that, I'm going to continue to look at the readings for today, but see where do we see those images of light and dark come up. And so in the first reading today is from Genesis, the very first words we hear in Genesis today, from Genesis chapter 19, verse 15, as dawn was breaking. So you have this great unfolding of really destruction in this reading from Genesis, this destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. But it begins with light. It begins with hope. It begins with the dawn is breaking. And then, further on into the reading, talks about the sun was just rising over the earth as Lot arrived in Zoar. So again, light. The sun was rising over the earth. But at that same time, Genesis tells us, the Lord rained down sulfurous fire upon Sodom and Gomorrah. Darkness. So light and hope, but also destruction and darkness in the midst of that. And further on in the reading, it says, Abraham saw dense smoke over the land of Sodom and Gomorrah, rising like fumes from a furnace. Again, more darkness. And then we see this contrast between light and dark carried through again in the gospel reading for today, Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 through 27. In that gospel, we're told there's a violent storm that came upon the sea, darkness starting to come over the sea where they are. And yet Jesus is asleep in the midst of that great storm. He gets woken up by his disciples who say, "Save us, we're all perishing." And Jesus does what? He gets up and rebukes the winds and the sea, which results in great calm. And you can imagine that calm spreading over the sea, meaning those dark clouds are dissipating from over the sea, and light is coming in to scatter the darkness. We all have storms in our lives. We all have darkness in our lives, sometimes worse than others, sometimes more than others. Sometimes it might feel like Jesus is asleep in the boat or asleep at the wheel. Sometimes he may in fact be sleeping in our boat, like in today's gospel. But the lesson from today's gospel, one of them is the presence of Jesus, even asleep in our boat, even if he's just asleep, is more powerful than any storm we could ever face. So in the midst of our storms and our darkness, do we get bitter if we feel like Jesus is asleep? Get angry and bitter, and why are you sleeping on us, Lord? Or do we run to Jesus and wake him up? Do we go over to him and say, Lord, get up, wake up so you can help me? Because even that act of waking Jesus up is an act of great faith. It's not just about getting relief from the storm, okay? It's an implicit recognition when we go to wake Jesus up that Jesus alone has the power to calm those storms in our lives. So when we're in those storms, don't abandon ship. Go to the captain. Go to the captain of the boat, wake him up, and ask him for his saving help. Final note for today. Today, July 4th, is obviously Independence Day for our country. So just a quick note about what real, true freedom and independence means. For us in the United States, we often think of it in terms of, well, we have the freedom to do whatever we want. We just get free, we can do whatever we want. But as Christians, that's not real, true freedom. As St. Pope John Paul II said, true freedom is not in doing whatever we like, but in having the right to do what we ought to do, the right to do the right thing. True freedom for us Christians is being so in tune with what is true and with what is good that it wouldn't even occur to us to do what is bad or what is false. The apostle said, "What sort of man is this, whom even the winds and the sea obey?" The winds and the sea obeyed Jesus instinctively. On this Independence Day, maybe we could reflect on, would that we be more like the winds and the sea, that we almost reactionarily obey Jesus Christ, because it's in that kind of obedience to Christ, who is the way and the truth and the life, that we find true freedom. God bless you.